So, today I'm going to do a book review of my favorite genre, which are memoirs. Starting off strong is Educated by Tara Westover, and I have printed out a little book worksheet, paper sheet, to guide me through to keep me from rambling. So my one sentence hook for this book, I'm going to go over the sheet actually. One second, ADHD moment. So number one, I'm going to do a one sentence hook for each book. Then number two, who is this about? Why is the book being written, really? Number three, why did it stick with me? Four, emotional impact. Five, what makes it different? And then six, who should read it? And then seven, my rating. Honestly, I might skip the rating one because these are all 5 stars. That's why I chose these. These are the chosen ones. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm gonna skip number 7. But yeah. So with my one sentence hook, Matilda, the song by Harry Styles. It's that kind of given permission to grow up despite of where you came from, and not having that familial guilt of moving on and having a family who really loves you, like the song says. And she says it herself. And that kind of quiet defiance of getting the education that, she stepped foot in a classroom for the very first time at 17 at Brigham Young University, BYU, and having had no formal education or education at all before that. And that's how I would describe the book as Matilda. And then who is this about? This is about Tara Westover. It is a memoir of her life up until the time in it that she wrote this book. So not a complete... Now, some of these not autobiographies. Some of these memoirs only cover tiny portions of their life, just a window, like a frame of just something that stuck out to them. Usually they write these books to heal. And she really did that. She wrote about her childhood, her career, her trauma, and then the recovery from that. In that order, really. She wrote about her childhood, her roots in Mormonism, how that shaped her career. In her dissertation, she heavily writes about Mormonism. And she gets her doctorates. And then trauma. There's a lot of verbal abuse growing up, religious trauma, familial kind of guilt and gaslighting. And they really made her feel crazy. Because, not making her an unreliable narrator in her head. And then her recovery. Her recovery was really interesting because it was, again, that quiet defiance, but it was her being okay with it and learning that it takes strength to forgive, and sometimes you don't feel strong enough to forgive quite yet, and that's okay. Making peace with that fact that, sometimes people say forgiving is how you move on, but sometimes if you're not ready for that, you shouldn't push yourself for something you're not ready for. And I think she touches on that beautifully. And then I just had number 3, why did it stick with me? And usually for number 3, I'm gonna, find a specific scene, quote or realization written within the book, and I'm gonna read it. So here I find it in chapter 39, towards the end of the book, literally the end of the book, this is not the right song for... Alexa, skip. Because this is kind of a sad part. Okay, that's better. But seeing her now, standing watch over her fields and pastures, I realized that I had misunderstood her. She was not angry with me for leaving, because leaving was a part of her cycle. Her role was not to corral the buffalo, not to gather and confine them by force. It was to celebrate their return. And that really stuck with me, because I think she lived her whole life in fear of her father, the fear of her losing her family, and the fear of being cast out for wanting more. And there's imagery in there with the peak being this looming figure and her kind of realizing that's not its job and she shouldn't feel that pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure in family. Emotional impact. how did this book make me feel? This memoir, it made me feel devastated for a little bit. As all of these memoirs actually made me feel devastated. I cried in every single one of them, more than once. Anyway, but it made me very angry. Lots of emotions. I was very angry with her family, and if you if you read any reviews, everybody is angry with her family, and rightfully so. But people make mistakes, and families are made up of humans too, and so no hate to them, or really there, just patience and grace. And oh, this is run. Alexa, skip. Yeah, and so, but I think forgiveness, I guess, would be the feeling I would get from it, but not because of forgiveness. It's the, again, in spite of it. And then what makes it different? I just realized I'm going to do, each book has a video, and I'll make it a series because this is going to be too long. What makes it different? Because I have horrible iCloud storage. Wait, but I don't have to send it on messages or anything, so it should be okay. I don't know. We'll see. What makes it different? I think what makes it different is that she grew up in a stable... Okay, that's not fair to say. She did not grow up in a stable home. On the outside, compared to some of these other books, she had a mother and she had a father. They went to church. You know, she had friends. She was in a theater program growing up. Like, that makes it relatively different that makes it kind of different that she had a relatively normal childhood in a way that was very far from normal. But what is a normal childhood, honestly? But I think that I would say that would make it different, at least out of these, these other memoirs. Yeah. And then who should read it? So age group, I would put it at, there's nothing really, as far as abuse goes, too graphic or sexual. There's no sexual, really, abuse. There's a lot of family abuse from her older brother, Sean. Shout out to him, I hate him. And so I would not give it to a 13-year-old, but like 15, 16 plus. 16 plus, I would say 16 plus. And then people going through familial trauma and just kind of reconciling with that. I think people like that should read this book. And then my rating, 5 stars. Because it is such a good book.